Hello Steelers and welcome to another Bench Report hobby update. I've got one for you this week. I've been quite busy actually. I thought that by the end of the week I wouldn't have done a lot of stuff, but I managed to. For some reason I managed to pull it out of me sleeve, and I managed to get quite a lot of stuff painted. I was surprised myself, to be perfectly honest. Now, I don't know if you can see the painting desk is quite full here. I'll talk about that in a second, but the first thing that I painted this week and finished this week was the Cerissa Railway siding, railway station. This is the MDF kit. I bought this the other week, it came through, and then you might remember last week that I'd got so far with the roofing, the tiles, but I run out of them, so I had to order another set from Cerissa. They came really quick. The only delay was because of the bank holiday weekend, nothing to do with them and how fast they send stuff, because I think it's usually 48 hours, at least here in the UK anyway. So that came really quickly, so I managed to get that finished off. I did that over the, if any of you watched it on my live stream on Tuesday last. And that basically, you know, that's just meant that I can now start to play the rest of the What a Cowboy campaign, because I was basically waiting for that for the next scenario. I also turned my attention as well to some German big men leaders. I mentioned this I think last week. In the other one I was using up spare figures and putting them on pennies rather than 15mm rounds, just so you could spot them on the tabletop, and I used some of these in our game with Kursk, Kursk, which I'll talk about later on anyway. But it was just a chance to really just put some more figures on bases and use up some spares and bits and pieces here and there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I also did some British medium machine guns from Malaya. These are the Vickers. These I actually got over at Element Games when I was playing a game of O Group with James and Jim and James, which I videoed and is on the channel ages ago. And these have just been sat in a box. Because I'd kind of run out of other stuff to come. I was waiting for a big thing to come through the post, but I kind of run out of other stuff to do, so I thought, right, let's dive into this box and just see what there is in here. These British machine guns, these are from Battlefront. They're going to be used in Malaya. They're 8th Army, but obviously, you know, the British in Malaya were wearing their summer kit, so these are perfect for that. Also, as well for Malaya, I did the Japanese Type 41 75mm mounting guns, and also a couple of snipers and a couple of extras. These also came from Element Games on that same day, so these have been sat in that box for probably at least 6 months at this point. I can't remember when we actually played that game, it's ages ago. But I've had these in the box since then, and I just thought, right, I just want to get these done, out of the way. And these are really nice little kits, metal Battlefront ones again. And also, on top of that, I did Soviet 76mm anti-tank gun and another big man as well. I only had one SMG guy, but these were the gun was given to me by Dex. So thank you very much for that, Dex, if you're watching, along with those SU-85s and SU-100s that I did last week. And again, these are just sitting in the box, so I just thought, right, just do them, make these up, get them done and get them out. So they'll be used for either O Group or IMB Shot Mum or even Shader Cam and something. You know, I'll find a use for them. And speaking of the submachine gunners, the Soviet ones, I got this as well in the post. This is the Battlefront Storm Group 13 infantry teams. This is mostly submachine gunners, Soviet submachine gunners. There's a few other bits and pieces in here. I've yet to look at these, but I'm going to do these. These are specifically going to be big men, or for the most part of them. I might make up a couple of extra SMG guys as well, but the SMGs, because a lot of the Soviets are either rifles or SMGs for their big men, I thought I'll do them as a mix, and I'm going to do most of these, including the officers and things, as the big men and stuff. So I'm based on pennies rather than anything else. And the thing that I was waiting for, you might not be able to see it from over there as well, is I've got some of them on the table here already, some Spitfires, but I was waiting for the Battle of Britain aircraft from Paul over at Sabotage. Now, I've rebagged these, he's done these together for me, so that's a Buffalo from before. So let's have a look. We've got some Dorniers, Do-17s, we've got some, what we got in there, Messerschmitts 109s, I've got, you name it, I got it. I've got some Stukers, Ju-87s, I've got some, they're the Ju-88s, I've got the the Heinkel's HE111s. I got the ME110s, Messerschmitt 110s there. I got a bunch of Bolt and Paul Defiants, love those planes. I've got a load of Hurricane Mark 1s as well. Anything else in here that I've got? Oh, they're just spares. And then as I say, I've also got on here 18 Spitfires. I don't know if you can make those out. I'm just currently in the midst of painting these. These will be done soon. But I'm just going to be working my way through all of those. I'm currently waiting for flight decks, German crosses and things for the Germans. I don't have any of those yet, but I've got the RAF ones, the roundels and stuff, so I'm going to be working my way through those and get those done. I think there's about 18 of each of the aircraft, which is enough for the finest hour aircraft, the campaign for Bag the Hun for the Battle of Britain. So I've been waiting for those for ages. Thank you very much, Paul. They're fantastic. Looking through them, they're really, really nice. He's done a really good job on these. These are the ones that were done by, sculpted by Jim Weir, who's then released them over to Sabotage for sale. So if you do want them, go and ask Paul. Just drop him an email. They're not on the website, but he will do them for you. If you don't buy do them by email. And you can see also as well on the table, I've got these. These are 99% done. This is a Panzer Grenadier platoon without the big men, because I haven't done them yet, the leaders. Well, no, I've done them, but they're going to be separate. I got to a point where I've got these painted, but I've run out of varnish, and I'm just waiting for 3 bottles of the Winsor & Newton stuff to come through. So I managed to get one set of these actually varnished, but the rest I'm just waiting for it. So that's going to be early next week, I would have thought, before I could get these done, which is a bit of a shame. But the reason I'm doing these is I was talking to Dex whilst we were playing the last campaign game of the pint-sized campaign for Chain of Command for Kursk, which I'll talk about in a second anyway. And I had a thought, what I might do, because we said we'll do the next campaign, the next Kursk campaign, so we're going to go from part 1 to part 2. And I thought, the figures that I've been using are a bit of a hodgepodge of other figures, different manufacturers. They've been painted at different times. They were kind of like, they were just figures I just pulled out that were individuals. There was no real matching. I thought, I've got a ton of figures kicking about, some that Dex gave me, some that I've got left over myself anyway. I just thought, let's just have a look through them and see if I can sort out another platoon. And I had enough, more than enough for them. So I thought, yeah, well, let's just do a completely brand new platoon. I've got it there, and then it's one that's all going to be nice and together and all built up. And I've got a sniper in there. I've also got a forward observation officer as well, because I've been using those a lot. So I thought, let's do everything so it all looks similar. And it's just a nice way of using up some old spare figures as well. And you know, I've got it, then haven't I? I've got another Panzer Grenadier platoon, nice and easy. I can use it for other games as well. But since we're going to be probably playing at least 6 more games of the Kursk campaign, I thought, well, you know, doesn't hurt, does it? And this kind of brings me on to what we've been playing. I mentioned the Kursk campaign, but I'll come back to that in a second. Last weekend I played, it was a long weekend, I played the First World War Chain of Command game, which I filmed, and that will be out on the channel probably more towards September at this point, so look out for that in a couple of months, a few months in fact. I also played What a Nerf Herder as well, my Star Wars, the first Star Wars version of What a Cowboy. I'll be playing a lot of that. I played it with my mate, just as a tester, and then we played it as well. Then I played it again the next day as a video, so that will be out at some point in the future. It's just things I'm kind of thinking about, using some of John Savage's modern version of What a Cowboy. He sent me the rules as a play test, and I just need to jig a few things about. I've been thinking about doing it for Judge Dredd as well, so I'll probably make a video of that at some point. I'm working currently on the What a Cowboy campaign as well. I was going to record something yesterday on Saturday, but it just escaped me and I ended up painting a lot of stuff instead. So I'll probably play that later on today, get that filmed and done. And then I think there's only a couple more scenarios of that, so I just want to get that really done and wrapped up and bow tied around it. But also, speaking of campaigns, it was Dex and I's last game of the Kursk campaign. This is actually, it was actually the 6th game I realised because Dex had given ground in one of the previous games. It's one we didn't fight, so it was actually our 6th game. So it was actually it was. I thought it was the 7th, but it wasn't. It was 6th because it was the second time we'd played the last scenario. And it was last time Dex absolutely handed my arse to me a week or so ago. You may have seen the report, well, the mention I gave of it in the other hobby report. And yeah, it was a great game, but he absolutely hammered me. It's the first time in the campaign he'd won, but he won very spectacularly and gave me such a bloody nose. But we both did, because we ended up having, you know, several fights in the back gardens. This time it was on the same map. This time I was a lot more cautious, but he absolutely held me up completely with Svetlana, the sniper, who is definitely on my shit list. She basically just appeared and just started plugging away, and then he brought out a little LMG and he killed half of my support section that I brought onto the table. I think he only ever put 4 or 5 people on the table, figures on the table, but what I managed to do, I was able to bring down the mortar on him. And he blocked line of sight. He stopped the sniper from firing. I actually moved the mortar fire onto the sniper. Even that didn't kill her. It just, I think it just, no, it didn't even shock her. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, it was a massive expense just to get rid of this one thing. But I couldn't spot her at all with any of my men. But what I managed to do was I managed to move round his flank, and instead of going down the difficult part that I did before, I went round the open flank, and I managed to capture not only one of his jumping off points, but then dive into the actual objective and capture it. So it was, and I just ended the turn, and that was it. Game over. It was that simple. Like I say, I think I had like three sections on the table. He only had five figures on the table, 2 of which were Svetlana and her second in command. But yeah, it was a great game, even that, and I think Dex enjoyed it as much as I did. I mean, it felt Chain of Command's such a good game in that it felt like I still couldn't win even until the point that I did win. It was literally, I got to a point where it was like, there's a chance to do it, just do it, and you know, I ran in and captured the objective. And there was a couple of times we were talking about it afterwards. I think there was a couple of times where he probably should have interrupted me with his Chain of Command dice, and also he was just waiting for a Chain of Command dice to come up at the end as well. So it was, yeah, it was really good fun. So we're going to play the part 2 of the Curse campaign at some point in the future. We haven't decided when yet. We're going to have a little break from it. So next week down at the club, I'm going to take Bag the Hun down, the Malaya stuff. So I don't know how long it's going to be before we actually start that, but I'm looking forward to it already. I've got the other part of the Storm in the Citadel. I think it's Breakthrough at Kursk or something it's called. So that's going to be interesting. And yeah, so that's as much as I can say at the moment. I think there's nothing else to tell you. There's nothing else that's come up this week. Like I said, I just managed to get a few bits and pieces done. I'm going to be hoping to be churning out the Battle of Britain aircraft over the next short while. Hopefully try to get as many of those done as possible so I can get them on the table as well at some point. There'll be battle reports coming for those, because I mean, it's a classic, isn't it? And I know Simon down the club is really wanting to play some Battle of Britain Bag the Hun stuff as well. Alright, so we'll leave it at that. I'll just say, you know, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and a lot of you who watch these things aren't subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. It all helps the channel out. It's all good to get the channel growth. Also, just check out the Patreon and the channel memberships if you want to help the channel out as well. Keep the lights on here at Steel Towers. It's you know, it's always appreciated, and it is never expected. But I'll leave it at that and say thanks once again for watching this hobby update.